Hello, and we are live, by the way, Mark.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. How's it going?
Pretty good today. I'm hoping that nothing goes wrong with the mic this time. I was having a conversation earlier with Andrew Matyanov, and the mic did the same thing it did last time,
Fuck.
and now it's back again. But it came back within like a minute. Basically, I've got it sitting here. I'm going to try not to touch it at all.
Yeah, that's really strange. I mean, I have a new camera, as you can probably tell, um,
Oh yeah.
which is nice. I do want to get a microphone though, just an external one.
Well,
But
yours sounds good. At least
yeah,
you
I
don't
mean
have
the
to
mic's good, but I like the idea of being able to just sit back and not have to wear something and just have a mic.
Yeah, I can
You know,
understand that.
yeah, just more relaxed. But anyway, I have put a link to this chat in the West Coast Reactionary Skype group. Should any of those guys pop up, but I'm not expecting it. Maybe one of them will. Maybe one of two of them. Um, but anyway, what do you want to speak about this evening? There are a few things which have happened recently which we could talk about. Um, Anything in your mind?
No, you take it away. I wanted to get on another time before I had to sort of go off the radar for a little while because of vacation and work and that annoyance.
That's fair enough. By the way, if I have to disappear, it's because I'm in the middle of cooking and I'm multitasking.
Ah, okay,
Um,
sure.
yes. Well, let's talk about we were talking about earlier, was it, I think, or was it yesterday? Earlier, regarding Angry Birds, regarding that little interesting piece of culture,
Yeah.
and its inverse, Zootopia. Now, you said you've seen Zootopia, and you
Yes.
recommend
Yeah.
P.T. Carlo's article, which is on West Coast Reactionaries, which is a very good piece of writing.
It is. Yeah.
Uh, so, what did you make of this spectacle then? If you could sum it up.
All I can say is I really do encourage people to watch it. Not pay to watch it, obviously, but somehow watch it because it's such a great epitome of I just say liberal bullshit artistry. That it starts off with this narrative about how you have this utopia and it's not working because obvious differences between predator animals and prey animals, and then the explanation they have to concoct at the end as to why it isn't working is some giant conspiracy. It's such a perfect. It would be great as a satire. That's the thing. It would make a really good satire on liberal stupidity. Obviously, that's not what they're intending, and that's very obvious throughout the movie. But at times, there is almost this hint of, are they just making fun of how ridiculous liberalism is now?
Right, yeah, because it's so absurd. I mean, I'll link to PT Carlo's article in the description of this video once it's all said and done, as well as in the chat right now. Actually, let me just do that.
Yes.
Um, and it's funny actually that article in particular was shared on our critical theory as well as our Zootopia on Reddit.
Oh, I saw there had been some butthurt about the article.
Yeah. The couple of comments there, that was just that was it. Man, these guys went into a shitstorm over Twitter over it and over at Reddit itself. Um, it was quite entertaining. But you could, yeah, it's standard liberal leftist silliness. Um, but yeah, you get this kind of impression, and I commented on the article along these lines that from the film, what you seem to perceive is this kind of, oh, it doesn't really work, it's not really perfect, but we'll keep trying anyway because we have no alternative, because the alternative is of course Nazism and genocide, and of course and it's the lesser of two evils, um, which is obviously not true regarding the kind of multi-culti experiment. It's clearly not something which needs to happen. I do remember reading or hearing something the other week regarding this sort of topic, that the elite after World War Two, actually no, I think it was after World War One,
Oh yeah.
certain portions of the elite people will have to check this for me because I can't remember where exactly I read this, but they had come to the conclusion that multiculturalism, as we see it now, or globalism, or massive movement of capital and of people, was inevitable. There was this understanding within the higher echelons of society that this was the direction the world was moving in from industrialization, etc. So therefore, after the Second World War, and you see the ideological justification for mass immigration, for multiculturalism, beyond mere economics, as it was in the case of Britain regarding the need for new labour and so on. We saw the ideological justification for this to rectify supposed colonial evils and the like. So therefore, this sort of naive, zombie-like, mechanized process that the elites, Angela
Yeah.
Merkel in particular, her ilk, that they're kind of ramping out and facilitating. To them, they're doing it not. It's because it's a foregone conclusion anyway. So they see no reason to stop. In fact, to them, they're just hastening the inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where you draw the parallels there. Damn, is my mic gone?
Oh, I just no. You got to is you said I can see where you're coming from. Is
Yeah, no, I'm just checking if my mic's still working because it weirdly cuts out. Is it okay now?
yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Oh, okay. Well, I can see where you draw the parallels there. You haven't seen the movie, right?
No, no.
No. Yeah, definitely look into it because I mean it is a commentary on I think European society and how they'd like things to be, right? But how they really aren't. And PT Carlo is actually very good at pointing out the whole CIA crack cocaine thing. That I mean was just I didn't actually know that was what had been said about it, but that is so typical of liberals that I mean they'd be on crack cocaine and then it would be the CIA's fault that would occur.
Yeah, of course, because minority and oppressed groups cannot have agency because that would damage the liberal narrative and that
It
they
has
are
to be
oppressed
some
victims.
conspiracy.
Yeah, has to be orchestrated by a higher power.
Mm. Because that way there's something to fight against.
Yeah, that
And
way they can place themselves in the role of a victim.
the
They have
eternal
the
revolution.
yeah, the eternal revolution, the eternal fuck you, dad. I'm not taking out the trash. You know, that's the sort of thing. It's interesting. Um, but I suppose moving on from that, and of course I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment much personally. But I did watch Angry Birds the
See, I
movie.
need to watch this because if
Yeah,
this
you
is
haven't watched it.
that
I have.
based,
Yeah, I have watched it. And everyone in the alt right and so on, we're all kind of everyone's amazed at this film that's that's been made because it is clearly it's so obvious that this is a commentary on the European migrant crisis that's been going on for the past 2 years. It's so obvious this has
yeah.
been intentional. That you have, and I don't want to spoiler it too much for people who haven't seen it. And I would advise you watch it. I mean, it is a kids' film, right? It has kids' humor in it. I watched it on this like
Yeah.
shitty stream on the internet. Um, but yeah, it is that sort of thing. But once you see the symbolism behind it, it's a very interesting cultural artifact. The basic outline of the plot is that birds live, the angry birds, they live on this island. They never know suffering or misery or pain or anger or anything of the like. And all of a sudden, they're greeted by these foreigners who are actually they are
The
manipulating them.
pigs. Yeah.
Yep, the pigs. Who end up manipulating them,
Mm.
stealing their eggs, which is very symbolic, and taking the eggs back to Pig Island. And then the birds have to basically grow a pair and take the eggs back. And they do this through basically blitzkrieging Pig Island. So it's all very interesting that you see this. But within the film, you see all these parallels between, and I'm
Mm.
sure people have seen the JPEG floating around of this kind of long list of uh, allusions to things and symbols of things and all the rest that are
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be literally just two.
Let's take a look at these comments. Adam is just a NEET with nothing to do all day other than watching his Mongolian animations. I wasn't aware Adam had done Mongolian animations. Can you link to Adam's Mongolian animations?
Eh?
Oh, somebody was just talking about your Mongolian animations in the chat, apparently.
Mongolian animation. This is a meme, but I'm not sure what it's about.
Strange. Well, he'll have to tell us. Friedrich Wilhelm Victor Albert.
Oh, I see the comment. I've never watched anime. There was this one time when I was a young teenager, and that was a mistake.
Yeah, I've only well, apart from watching, of course, Pokemon, which I think everyone has watched.
Yeah.
I've only ever watched, in terms of adult anime, I've only ever watched a series that was called Hellsing. That's all. I couldn't really name any other animes. I think Bleach is an anime. So my brother watches anime, but I don't really.
Yeah.
I can see why it appeals to people, though.
Oh, I can't. It's too juvenile. Someone asked me what the books are on the table. These are my mother's. One of them is to do with her work because she's a carer, and the other one is lectures on the attainment of Buddhahood in this lifetime. So there you go. Helping people in Buddhism. So my mum's kind of new agey, but she isn't a total cuck, which is good.
Yeah.
If I have any say in the matter.
What I mean by why I can see why people appreciate it is that it seems that Japanese people became obsessed with making an entire genre that was exclusively about white people. All the people in anime are white, as is evident by their differentiating hair colors.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of strange if you think about it.
It is, yeah.
The features as well. I mean, they occasionally see like exaggerated features, like a long pointy nose for Westerners.
Oh, who could that be?
Oh, well, no, it's not. It's not. It's not them. It's actually Western. Like you can find just comical kind of pictures from Japan of people like wearing like strap-on like pointy noses, not hook noses, you know.
Not hook noses.
No.
Oh, somebody's asking me if I have any new projects in the works. I've got an essay that I'm debating whether I'm going to put it out tonight or tomorrow morning. I still have to proofread it, so you don't have to wait long. Sorry for my hiatus last week. I didn't really post anything just because I had exams and it was quite crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's, quality over quantity.
Yeah, hopefully.
But going back to this, looking at Angry Birds and Zootopia, is you see two extremes here. You see the kind of leftist narrative of what's going on regarding multiculturalism, and the kind of rightist understanding of what's going on regarding multiculturalism.
Yeah.
I found out these two movies came out literally within 2 months of each other, and I found that
with
fascinating.
conflicting messages, totally conflicting,
polarized. And I think really it's just a microcosm of the society at large.
Yeah.
I mean,
how one group views things and then how another group views things.
Yeah, exactly. And it's immense cultural significance. I mean, like they're kids' films, right? They're kids' films for kids to laugh at. They aren't. It's not like the Divine Comedy or anything. But it's nevertheless, it speaks of an underlying current which we're seeing in the culture now, where people are very much divided regarding multiculturalism, where the left is kind of, oh, it's fine, it's ticking along, we have nice food. That sort of understanding, that sort of view is dying out. I think it is dying out, especially with the young. The young are increasingly polarized, I've found. My brother confirms this. My brother's is more social than I am. But he, goes to college, and him and all his mates, who are Muslims actually, they're all right wing, right? They're all conservatives, really, almost reactionary in some cases. Whereas loads of other people are leftists, and my brother constantly belittles like feminists and all that, even the professors who and lecturers who do this sort of thing. It's quite edgy. Maybe I'm the influence there. I don't know. But him and his mates, they just take the piss out of all these people. But he tells me like you have people who are there's no one who's really in between where he is at college. People are politically left wing or right wing. Um, they
Yeah.
either and obviously the kind of whole SJW thing is a huge part of that. And
Mm.
just earlier, just to finish this point, I was on a stream with Ed with Babylonian Hebrew, who's now in the comments. Hello, Ed, again. And one of the guys who popped up there was a guy who's living in Brazil, and they've never had a proper right wing. He tells us. But you're seeing, as a response against kind of progressive university nonsense, you're seeing a kind of the alt right and its influence seep into Brazil with the young people, with millennials. I thought that was
Well,
fascinating.
Brazil. Yeah, I actually get quite a lot of readers from Brazil, if Google Analytics is anything to go by, which is interesting. But Brazil did have a right wing. They were called the Integralists, but they disappeared after the Second World War. They
Yeah,
attempted a putsch of the government, and it was called the pajama putsch. I don't know
right,
why. Maybe they did it in their pajamas, but it failed, and they were arrested.
right.
Um, but yeah, it was called the Integralists, and it was a sort of distributist. I don't know. It was a little like Salazar, but not exactly. I guess maybe a little more ideologically advanced than Salazar.
Yeah. I suppose what this guy was saying then is that in his lifetime, there's never been a right.
Oh
Whereas
yeah,
in
certainly.
my
No.
lifetime, I've been aware of the BNP, I've been aware of the UKIP, I've been aware of the Tories.
Mm.
You know, the right wing part of the Tories, not the whole of them, but I've always been aware of the left and right. Um, being people who are conservative, people who are liberal, whereas this guy's saying, you know, they've never really they don't have that sort of thing where he is,
Well,
and it's interesting.
after the dictatorships that America had set up in Latin America collapsed, it largely became almost universally Bolivarian socialist Chavez type model. So yeah, I mean, within whoever this person was lifetime, yeah, they wouldn't have seen anything right wing. Certainly not truly right wing, anyway. Hmm. Don't know if my mic's still working or if it's capped off.
Right, yeah, hello, I'm back. Um,
Oh, you're back. Is my mic still working?
yeah, it
I'm
is still
having to
working.
keep I'm having to keep checking it because it keeps going out. I've now switched over to stereo mode.
Right.
Let me try back on.
Hmm. Yeah, sorry, I'm doing pasta, so I have to keep going and staring at it. Again, it's awkward time. It's okay. Uh, see in the comments here.
This is my stereo mix.
Okay, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, of course. Let me.
Doesn't Adam live in the UK? How come it's day where he is? Yeah, it's 20 past 8. It's just because it's the start of summer, mate. The sun's high in the sky. It's if you look right out into the horizon though, clouds are getting kind of pink, so it'll be dark by 9ish. But it stays bright here at the height of summer until like 10 in the night. So like 10, it still stays light. So northern hemisphere, to be honest, lads. Um, yeah, I don't know if your mic's any better now, Mark. Oh, I can't hear you if you're speaking. No, it is pathetic. You typed. Yeah, I can't hear you. Trying to fix it. Okay, that's fine, mate. No worries. We're not in a hurry. We're only 25 minutes in. We've covered plenty of ground so far. And when you're back, when you got things working, um, Cater asks you, what is your opinion on Italian futurism? Um, in the meantime, Noah Robert Graves says, "Hey Adam, I just discovered your channel. I've been listening to the reading of Revolt Against the Modern World. Great stuff. All right, cheers." I'm always amazed that people. I mean, it's one of those series. I always think back. Oh, could we done it better? Could I have done a better job? Yes, especially with the first three. Um, I could have. We could have done them a little better. But overall, I think it's that sort of thing. It's very dry. And me and Paul, we do try every chapter. We try and think of what we could say. We could go off script, so to speak, and ad lib, but we can't because Evola fucking says everything that we could have said because the man was not a moron. So it just kind of makes it a little different for us. Hopefully, I think we will eventually. I mean, ultimately, what are we doing tonight? We're recording tonight, actually, and I should be uploading another video tonight of Revolt. I will do that hopefully. It doesn't take me that long, really. Yeah, I think we're recording chapter 13. '21 is the end of part 1 of the book, and I think then we'll have a little break from the series, and then part 2 is significantly fewer chapters, and then that'll be it. But it's one of those. It's a big endeavor. The reason I did it is because all the audiobooks you find of it are just kind of trash, and so that robot voice reading a PDF, and it's just like a human voice is much easier to listen to. There you go. Adrian asks, "Did you say esoteric today?" I think I have said esoteric. I think I said it in a stream earlier. All right, hello, Mark. I can hear you. Well, I could hear microphone static.
You could.
I can hear it now. There you go.
Oh, it's still really bad, I think.
No, you sound okay.
I'm going to need to send this back and get a replacement. I hope I still can.
You have the receipt still.
I ordered it online, so.
Oh right, so you should have like a warranty.
I've got the box and everything. Thing is, it comes from America, so it's going to be a nightmare to ship it back. But hopefully, they'll just give me a replacement. I'm dead pissed off about this.
Well, if you can't get a replacement, I'd recommend one of these. I recommend a Sennheiser PC8 because apparently the mic's quite good. And I've had this for 2 years now, 3, I think.
I mean, this is just pathetic that I've had this for only a few months and it's crapping out on me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not like I mistreated it.
Yeah, exactly. You haven't done anything. You've probably been quite nice to it.
Yeah.
Just while I go and sort like this pasta out.
Okay.
Cater asks you, "What's your opinion on Italian futurism?"
Don't know enough about it, really. Unfortunately, as disappointing as that answer may be. I mean, I've heard of it, but I don't know. I've heard of archaeofuturism, but I don't know. I assume that's the same thing. I don't know much about it. I know Moldbug wrote something on futurism. Is reactionary modernism a thing? No, that's not a thing. Oh, they're not the same thing. Okay. Because there's a book on, I think it's on Countercurrents on archaeofuturism. Oh, thanks for that advice, Babylonian Hebrew. Jews always scheming. I've got a Blue Yeti. This is a Blue Yeti. No, it's not the official reactionary microphone. This is the least official reactionary microphone. Always scheming to make us buy bad microphones. Good guys.
what happened to Red Ice Radio. I've never actually listened to Red Ice Radio. It's not my speed. Yeah, if I've got, I mean, just from my experience with having this one, do not get a Blue Yeti microphone. I paid almost £80 for this, so in dollars, that's got to be well over $100. And I've had it for 4 to 5 months, and it's now, well, it's like this. I mean, you can hear. Yeah, Blue Yeti with an echo, exactly. Oh, why is it so shit? Come on. Oh, Adam's back. For a moment there, I thought my microphone was coming back to life, but no, it's just Adam.
Right, hello again. What's been going on since I left?
Oh, Babylonian Hebrew has been trying to Jew everyone into getting a Blue Yeti microphone, which is what I've got.
Woes has one as well, though.
He must have gotten a more expensive model than I did.
Yeah, strange.
I paid 70 odd quid for this.
Fucking hell.
Yep.
It's not a lot. That's not a small amount of money. It's not like a small loan of $70.
Small loan of oh, epic.
Small loan of $1 million. In New York real estate, $1 million is not a lot of money.
Yeah, it really isn't.
You know, in that sort of thing. Someone with a rather unintelligible name with a kind of she profile picture says, "Are you intimidated by American men?"
Intimidated in what way? What?
Yeah.
That's just too broad. Am I intimidated if an African American comes up to me on the subway and says, "Give me your money"? Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. I think most people would be unless they had a gun. But in general, no. I wouldn't say so. I lived there for 5 years. I didn't lock myself in a freezer.
Did you own a shooty gun?
I didn't. Ironically, the only time I've held a firearm was in the UK.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to go shooting in America. Somebody asked me to go shooting, and then it never happened, which
That's a shame.
kind of annoyed me. Yeah.
Yeah. I do plan on getting a gun at some point. It is difficult.
Bloody hell. Based Adam Wallace getting a gun.
Why wouldn't I get a gun? You know,
isn't it pretty difficult here?
It is difficult, but it's not impossible. You can get like rifles and stuff easier than you can get handguns, because there was a handgun ban of the 90s, wasn't there, under Thatcher, regarding shit which happened in Manchester and the like, which is why they're really there's gang violence in the north, which is why they're really hammered down on things like that. But I mean, my grandfather has owned loads of guns throughout his life. So, but yeah, I would like to just own a. It's just one of those things. It's good to own one.
It is, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I do think that certainly, just as an ideological position, I do favour people in general having guns. I'm in favour of that.
Yeah, certainly. I think the individual has a right to arm themselves.
It's not so much a right. I don't really believe in right.
Well,
I think it's just generally better, and I think the sort of arguments against it are really poorly put together. John Lott is the foremost expert on firearm ownership and has written several books about it, and he points. Loads of people, virtually everyone walked around carrying a gun, and they had hardly any murders. I think one year in London there were 3 gun murders, which shows that the American problem with guns is purely probably cultural and pharmacological, rather than just about owning guns. And this was a time when police in Britain didn't have guns. In fact, there's a really cool account of there was an anarchist gang. I think it was from Czechoslovakia, the Czech area. had come into London, and the police actually borrowed guns off passers-by to fight this anarchist gang. Guns have really made America safe. Christ's sakes. Oh, for crying out loud. Yeah, there is a race-related gun problem, of course. Didn't do gun crime is not white people's fault. That's just a fact. Are we still live? Someone in the chat, tell me if we're still live. Because Adam has gone totally dark on me. Okay, I don't know where Adam went, probably to tend to his pastor. The Adam is dead. Good, good. Is there anything else people want to know while Adam is dealing with his spaghetti?
It's not spaghetti, it's penne, actually.
All right. Okay. He's back.
Being a spaghetti. I actually have it here. When you're speaking, I'll fucking have a bite.
Fucking hell. Filthy Dago bastard. Oh, man.
Right. Let's see what we can toy around with here in the comments.
They're just talking about you disappearing, you transcending your mortal coil.
Yeah, of course. Every night.
No, I didn't say pasta.
But, like, it's just fucking easy to make. It's lazy food, right? Making pasta. You just get pasta, throw it in water.
I usually have noodles.
I hate noodles.
Such a geek.
Oh, noodles are terrible. Oh dear.
Paul Armstrong says nobody should have guns. Oh, I mean, nobody should have nuclear weapons, of course. Nobody should have butcher's knives.
No. Beware, this is an assault fork. It's a very dangerous weapon. No one should be allowed to own these. Dumb cunt.
Paul, go and read some of the books by John Lott and look at gun crime statistics. Compared to when European countries had guns and after they banned them, the violent crime rate in the UK skyrocketed.
Yeah, doesn't Switzerland still have guns? And then
Switzerland still has guns because Switzerland doesn't have a standing army. It's got basically sort of. It's a little like their only thing is selective services, so you can be called up at any time, and therefore you've got to get training with your gun. And most people, after they've received the train, keep the guns in their home ready for use.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
that's a good point.
The comments again. Yeah.
Get rid of the guns. Oh, yeah. What's that? I've forgotten that guy's name.
Testis Gratis.
No, who's the?
Oh no! You're thinking of it.
Oh,
some sorry cunt. Like that. Do you?
Gordon.
I don't know.
Gordon something.
Gordon Johans.
Gordon Johans. Oh,
yeah.
There's a broken individual.
Based.
Just ban my guns up, fam.
Yeah. It reminds me of that old, get a life, bin that knife. Do you remember? Have you ever seen a knife bin? Where they encourage your vibrant youths to drop their pointy ornaments.
Yeah, it was the aftercursor to Scope. Is that thing where everyone turn your guns so we can make them down in colors. Stupid. Yeah. They do the same.
Yeah. Can you just check your bandwidth usage? Is it on the minimal setting?
No.
Set it to audio only.
What to do with the mod itself? That happens. What?
All right, yeah, because you're cutting up a little bit, and it's something to do with the broadband. It's not to do with your microphone itself, I don't think. Maybe it's just where you are is kind of busy. I don't know.
How do you know that?
Well, because if the bandwidth is being highly used in your area, it will affect your call quality. Same with Alberto Barbosa lives in Croydon, and whenever you get into a call with him, you can fucking hardly hear a thing he says because of just how many people are in the area using the internet. Where I am in the southwest, it's quite good, so it comes through a bit better. But anyway, that's kind of meta discussion. Is there anything you particularly wanted to speak about? Anything on your mind recently, within the past couple of days, which has annoyed you or you observed or something?
Yeah, I mean, I've got it. So I've got the bandwidth on very low. How's the audio coming? Let me just check.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
a
it
little
should be
better.
able
It's a
to
little
hear
better.
me, right?
Didn't you hear me ask you what's been on your mind for the past couple of days, if anything?
Nothing really. I've been reading
Really?
some of the sort of responses to my previous article on church-state relations. So I've sort of been getting to and reading other stuff as well. I'm trying to catch up because I haven't been reading Reactosphere material for a little while.
Yeah. I saw Jim invited your position.
Yeah, Jim read a
Yes.
nice.
Yes, as an official neo-reactionary position. I'm glad. I'm glad James left that comment on that article, on that open letter to Pope Francis.
Yeah, it was really insightful, and I got a good response as well from Bonal at Throne and Altar out that basically is sort of an understanding of the like feminine nature of things and how it's useful in some contexts. So it's a little more complicated than I originally realized. I think it needs some parsing almost. Yeah, it's very difficult when you sort of apply these analogies of solar and lunar things, and they are solar in some respects, but then lunar in others.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's quite monolithic, exactly, apart from, I guess, God, which is entirely solar in itself.
Yeah. Everything else is kind of fractalized.
Yeah.
Well, it's like. I mean, I have my own little weird ideas about the world, and cycles seems to be a recurring theme. But things within things, and the idea of fractals, geometric fractals, and these things behave like that. Even within something which is solar, there are subsolar elements and sublunar elements within that, because nothing besides God is totally pure.
Well, I said people often will correctly associate the feminine principle with subjugation because of obviously the husband's relationship to the wife, but they don't ever consider the wife's relationship to the children. To them, she is a solar figure. She is authoritative. The children must obey the mother. That's their primary goal. So, you know, it's not as easy as it might appear on the surface. It requires greater minds than mine, certainly, to look into these matters.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the key text there which inspired that thought was the Kybalion of Hermeticism. Have you read the Kybalion?
No, I haven't, but after hearing you talk about it quite a lot, I do want to.
Yeah, it's an interesting little read. It definitely gets the older think box ticking. Athena, she says, for fractal thinking, check out Terence McKenna. No. Terence McKenna was...
I don't even know who that is.
Terence McKenna was an interesting fellow. He was a kind of 90s psychonaut. He was a very intelligent fellow, but ultimately he was very effeminate and new age. His ideal society was a kind of feminine shamanism. To him,
I see.
That was a kind of perfection, and it's again a very feminine. He had an extraordinarily feminine understanding of the world and saw masculinity, any sort of Martian or Uranian element, as being oppressive, and he was a Marxist. And then he kind of got into psychedelics, and that kind of changed his mind. but he still retained that kind of spirit of thinking. People should look up Terence McKenna's lectures. They're really interesting. He had an extraordinary memory for speaking, not dissimilar actually to Jonathan Bowden's skill at oratory in some respects. But Terence, he was a new ager through and through, and I would advise people to be suspicious of such people.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I've just improved the audio slightly on my mic. Is that a little bit better?
It is, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
See, because I mess around with the gain a bit, and the gain makes it slightly better.
That's bizarre.
Oh, somebody said, glad to see Mark finally forgave Adam for deleting Vocus.
Oh, it's just a meme.
I wasn't annoyed at him.
Mate, they're
Vocus.
memeing.
What?
They're memeing. People.
How has this become a meme? I didn't say anything.
People make shit up and then they repeat it, and it becomes sort of mimetically imbued, like the whole thing with me being a trap.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, it literally is a handful of lads on Britpol shitposting, and then
but that's actually true.
Yeah, don't fucking tell anyone. And then a couple of people actually fucking came to me and asked me if I was a trap.
Are you a trap? Were they soliciting you?
No, they were being. I fucking hope not. But they were being genuine. Like, what the fuck, man?
Oh.
It's a new force to me from yesterday, talking about Danelaw, and that Danelaw is the foundation of Western civilization, which is not true. Of course, it's not true.
What?
But these memes, they just come and go. They're micro memes. They act upon the small scale.
It's like saying Luxembourg is the sort of the progenitor of Western civilization. Danelaw, for crying out loud, you couldn't have picked something less. I just don't consider that very impactful on anything.
There was an article by a guy called Nat, who is involved with Radio Free Skyrim, which is associated with, and I think headed under The Right Stuff. He wanted to send. He submitted an article to Countercurrents, to Greg Johnson, about why Danelaw is the foundation of Western civilization. Greg wouldn't publish it, so he published it instead through the Daily Stormer, and you can find it if you search. If you go onto the Daily Stormer, pardon me, and you'll find it. And I read it and
not impressed.
No. The Danelaw, no. He conflates a lot of different things, and I can't tell if the whole article is written. The prose is kind of pseudo-ironic at points, and there's a constant kind of yes man-esque smile and a kind of winky face all the way through it. But you can't really tell. I couldn't tell if he was being totally serious, because some of the things he was saying were just really quite naff.
Yeah, I can understand that being the case when you're arguing that Danelaw is the basis for Western civilization.
No, when in reality, the Vikings were colossal pricks who did nothing but kill people and destroy monasteries and set England back educationally about 2-3 centuries. They did nothing. They added nothing to our society. I mean, later on you have the Normans who are descended from the Norse, but even then their culture was Franco-Christian, and the influence the Normans had upon England was Franco-Christian. Remnants of the Roman imperial structure that seeped into Gaul, and then changed the way we dealt with law, and the way we dealt with kings. Me and Duncan are still in the process of writing these articles and thinking about it, and all the rest. But this is something Duncan was telling me about.
What people conceive of as the West or the Western ideal is really a move that came from the South to the North. It wasn't so much an East-West thing. It was vertical in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, someone's asked me what my opinion on Sargon is. I think I've said this other way. I don't like him. I don't like his dialectic. I think he's disingenuous. That's just my assessment of the guy.
Yeah. Adrian Avery says the Anglos and Saxons had the biggest influence by far when it comes to England. But you guys sometimes think Western equals British culture, when British culture is just a part of it. No, I think that's simply Americans conflating the Anglo world with the Western world, and which is fair to do, considering how powerful America is, especially in today's political and cultural context. People will do that naturally. Of course, when people think of Western civilization, one of the first things which comes to mind is ancient Greece and Rome.
But those aren't. I certainly wouldn't say Greece is Western European. It's
No, it isn't Western Europe. But when people think of the West,
yeah, it's
Yeah,
quite
what do people
confusing when you go back on it, like to look at what was originally conceived as Europe. I mean, Europe was originally just everywhere surrounding the Mediterranean. It included Carthage, but didn't include where Stockholm is. I'm sure Stockholm wasn't a city back then, but it didn't include that. That wasn't Europe. It wasn't considered Europa. Europa was, I believe, a goddess from Phoenicia, of all places.
yeah, indeed, it was interesting. It kind of meant Rome, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And it was civilization. The North was just completely uncivilized. I think the West-East description gained prevalence after the official schism between the two churches. But I'd say today it's more influenced by the Cold War, and what people can, conceive as this dividing line between Western civilization and Eastern civilization is the demarcation of the Iron Curtain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is why Greece would, today be considered by many to be a Western European country, despite its geographic location, because obviously it never fell to communism.
I think the term "the West" is not often synonymous with Western Europe, because if you're talking just about Western Europe, then you wouldn't include Australia, America, etc.
They're sort of colonial possessions of the West, I'd say.
Yeah.
But obviously, America's become more influential in what it means to be Western than the UK or Germany or France are.
Unfortunately, so yeah.
Yeah, the religion of pornography and Coca-Cola, as Davia put it, which I think is a good summation of America. Apologies to my American brothers in arms.
Yeah, P.T. Carlo. We spoke about this earlier. P.T. Carlo, as well as Chris Grant, they did some writing on West Coast reactionaries. Literally, in the past 2-3 days, about this topic, which I would advise people to look to. Lysander asked me, "What am I eating?" Pasta, the tomato and garlic sauce with some English cheddar sprinkled on top. To be quite honest, you can't be totally Mediterranean. Got to add that little bit of humanity to it. It has to be a little bit white. You know what I mean?
Adam's trying to transcend the mortal plane by literally imitating Evola's diet.
I have to achieve apotheosis, basically. I have to become Evola. Take his form, the platonic Evola.
Speaking of apotheosis, how much do you know about Rudolf Steiner?
I've read the name, but I'm not familiar.
Evola dismissed him at the time. He was very influential in Rosicrucianism. And I mean, I've looked at his work. Some of it is useless. He was almost libertarianish, which makes sense considering his background, but he was Austrian. But some of the things he wrote are actually quite theologically useful. So I'm probably going to write an article on when I've read a bit more of him, that some of the useful elements. I think Gornor had a good summation of some of his thinking.
Yeah, it must be where I read the name on Gornor. Yeah. Well, more comments here. Bloody loads of them. Loads of the cunts. We're going on for an hour now. That's quite all right. We're doing well. So how long do you reckon it'll be before you're kind of back and ready to go?
I just don't know, really. I'm going through a transitional period from one year to the next. So at the moment, I'm working full time, and my job requires me to put in night shifts. So when night shifts fall on Fridays, for example, obviously I can't do a plebeian podcast, which is annoying. And then I'm going to be out for a month in the summer anyway, when I'm going to be without this microphone. Not that having this microphone does much good either, but then I'll be back September-ish. and then I'll be free to do what I want, and hopefully I'll have a new mic, and that'll be the sort of start to the next year for me.
Nice one. Where are you going in summer, if you don't mind me asking?
Lincolnshire.
All right.
Yeah.
Pleasant enough.
Well, yeah. It's not
I
too
suppose
bad.
Family
Lots
thing.
of places. Yeah, family stuff. It's all to do with that.
Yeah. I think in August, Ed's coming over to England, which would be nice.
Will it?
Eh?
He'll
Of
be
course it will.
He'll be sneaking around.
You look, man, call it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
Sounds like
This is a tolerant YouTube channel. We're very
No, seriously, is he
diverse.
just coming over to visit you? Does he
No,
have
not
to-
just to visit me. No. I think, for fear of me speaking for him, excuse me, I think he's going to Israel. Because he's family first.
And he's going to get lost and end up in England.
And then he's coming to London.
He does know that William Blake's thing about England being the New Jerusalem. That's more of a metaphor.
We don't talk about those sorts of things on this channel. There was a documentary I saw about the English, a chosen people, and the entire fucking hour-long documentary was, yeah, the English want to be Jews, and I was just sat there. I was like, well,
I think most
there's a reason the crowds hate us. The eternal Anglo and all. But no, then,
UAF is Bromley. I'm reading some of these comments are just beyond shit posting.
But yeah, Ed's coming to London in August to see family, and then he's going to get the train down to me. And if we get the timing right, then me and him we're going to get the train up to Scotland and meet Woes and some other lads and ladesses, which would be pleasant.
Sounds pleasant.
Yeah. I also know Jack is fucking off into the wilderness in a couple of weeks. Imperial aspirations.
Isn't he already in the wilderness? He's in Scotland.
Oh, he's technically. Oh no, he's in Ireland right now.
Oh, is he?
So he's fuck me. He's in the wasteland.
Cucked Island or Based Island?
I think he's in Cucked Island.
Oh shit.
Or I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I might be wrong. But I think sometime soon he's gonna go a walkabout, to use a based Aboriginal term. But he's gonna go wandering through England and then into Europe, mainland Europe, which would be nice for him. Wish him the best. Do you mean lasses, not ladesses? No, it was intentional. There are no accidents on these podcasts. Ladesses, lads and ladesses. If there's not a word for it, you have to make it up. My family are Cockney. That's where I get it from. Ed says he's coming in August to steal your eggs. That's a terrible allegory. I really fucking hope you're not.
That sort of harkens back to the blood libel almost.
Almost. But in Angry Birds, it's obviously a metaphor. We look at our context for fertility.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
I can't get into my head the idea that could have been planned, that they could have actually planned to make that the message.
Mate, you need to watch it, and your mind will just go like that gif. Seriously, it's really incredible. Just you wouldn't. The directors and producers, they tried to go to Hollywood, but they wouldn't do it. So they had to do it themselves and hire a bunch of independent people.
Well, maybe this is more based than I thought.
It is a based red pill film, like genuinely. It's no Divine Comedy, but it is definitely of interest.
Well, from the reviews of Zootopia, I think liberals are placing that above the Divine Comedy for now. It seems to be.
It doesn't. Liberals. It doesn't matter what they have to say. James is in the process of writing a book about the Divine Comedy, which is nice. Which I'll have soon, hopefully. Have you watched it? PK Arc says Angry Birds. Yeah. And there are plenty of articles on the right stuff on countercurrents. Everyone's fucking talking about it.
I need to get on poll more, maybe.
Oh, mate, I don't think you want to do that. You should never subject yourself to too much shitposting. We get enough of it in these chats.
I always enjoy the poo in loo memes. I guess it's just I find that funny.
Fucking having dinner, mate.
Just the idea that you'd be scared of the going in the toilet because there was a loo witch who would suck you down, and therefore you had to go and poo in the designated shitting street. I mean, for fuck's sake.
Fucking Indians. I know the image you're talking about. That's hilarious. I laughed my fucking ass off when I saw that. Mm.
Did you say what is it? The one with Pepe as the witch?
No.
That was great 'cause it's got a little poem with it. That's something.
Yeah, it's the little poem I'm
like
thinking of. The witch, the one I'm thinking of is the witch from this like Nintendo video game. But I think someone probably over switched it out with a Pepe.
they switched out with the Pepe. Yeah,
And the poem.
the poem is something along the lines of, "You're going to burst. You need a poo, but I won't let you near the loo. Shoo, 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 now, young Pajit, to the designated shitting street." it's designated. Oh, man.
This is
Very
fucking
funny.
terrible. How the fuck have you remembered that?
Because it stuck in my head when I read it. So many things. And I read another article that they were introducing mandatory diapers in one town.
Oh, that's terrible.
And then there was another one about people pooing and then handling curry with their hands.
Oh, fuck's sake.
I don't know if these are like Photoshop news articles, but they're quite funny.
It wouldn't surprise me, mate. Absolutely terrible. Fucking awful.
Citadel, take a day off, mate. For what?
They have a space program. They're civilized guys. I'll be alright. I'm just gonna turn the lights on.
Superpower by 2019. That current story was a real UK newspaper article. Yeah. Daily reminder that the future of Britain is designated shitting streets. Well, I'd say we're not far off. If anyone has any questions, they can shove them in the chat, and we'll do our best.
Hello again. Right. Shall we try and steer the conversation into onto something a bit more substantial?
Yes, go ahead. Anything.
I don't know. No idea. Oh, there are so many things we could talk about. This summer is going to be fucking awful.
Because the
Europe.
Brexit's going to fail, or
Oh, Brexit's going to fail, right? I've accepted that fate. But
yeah, I'm in agreement with you there.
I mean, yeah, in my view, it's ultimately Spenglerian. So there is a decline, but there's a rise. The EU will collapse within the next few decades. But no, I'm mostly thinking about migration when it gets dry and hot, because that's where most of it's going to be.
Oh, Nadem has asked, "Am I Russian?" Yeah, partly yes. I've also got Norwegian and the eternal Anglo blood in me as well.
Based. Yes, man, it's going to be awful. You'll see some real shit go down in Italy.
Yeah,
Germany.
I think so, yeah. What do you think of Western Europeans moving to Eastern Europe? I mean, some of the problem I have with people moving to areas comes from when I was in America. What you'd see a lot of is liberals would destroy cities, and then they would move to conservative places, and they'd fuck those up as well, which is kind of annoying. If there isn't, I mean, migration east isn't unprecedented, actually. A lot of Germans moved to Russia for a period. They then moved back subsequently after a few decades or something, but there are still quite a lot there. And this was Siberia. They were contracted to come in and civilize the areas of Siberia and set down farms and things. So it's not unprecedented, and I'd say that it can absorb a small amount of based people.
Yeah, I mean, generally, I look kind of unfavorably to those sorts of things.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I can understand why. I think, moving,
like,
especially if it's like running away, you know.
yes, yeah, exactly. I have a loyalty to my family and my feud and my land.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
off.
for
I'm
the
off the
land,
land.
yeah.
I don't belong anywhere else. I'm supposed to be here. Like, I can't just abandon that, run away, and fuck off somewhere else. Like, that's just spitting on my ancestors. It's just nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a weird position because I consider myself already sort of in diaspora. So, I mean, I could
Mm.
go anywhere. Someone's asked me, do I plan on moving to Russia? Possibly, yeah.
Ah,
If
yeah,
not,
yeah,
I
yeah.
will strongly encourage my children to do so. If it's not, if it doesn't turn out that, my life leads in that direction, we are in some cases at the mercy of events in our lives pertaining to, our family members and our ties to other things. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, I am sort of attracted to return. I certainly want the name to return there. I do want it to go back there because I mean, it's a miracle that it survived. You can have generations where there are only daughters, and therefore, I mean, the patrilineal line dies. Mine's solid back to Russia, so I'm quite lucky. I consider it a gift, kind of, that it survived.
Yeah, to have an unbroken chain to tether oneself somewhere.
Unbroken but dropped. I consider it. I think
Yeah, well, it has to be picked
couple
up
of
again.
previous, yeah, exactly. The couple of previous generations dropped the chain, and I picked it up. That's why it was quite a seminal moment when I first walked into an Orthodox church because I was the first one in a few generations to do so, and I had that sort of on my shoulders.
Mm, very interesting. But yeah, I think
Germans moved to Switzerland. I don't know. Maybe Adam, do you have less of a problem with Germans moving to Switzerland, seeing it as it is that they are sort of Germans?
well, it's a continental problem.
Mm.
Eh,
Or Austria and Germany, for example.
mm. Yeah, I think with those sorts of cases, especially when you have similar ethnicities, which kind of have been, uh, I mean, look at France, for example.
Mm.
Several centuries ago, it was like 10 different countries, and now
Oh
it's
yeah,
all.
Aquitaine and these other areas.
Mm. And yet now it's all one place. But there's distinct groups. They've all retained more or less their own sorts of identity. And even in where I am in the southwest, there are there's a strong differentiation between Cornwall and Devon. People who live in either
Mm.
place, Cornish nationalism is a thing.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I've
yeah,
experienced it. We used to
yeah,
do a lot of
we was
vacationing.
Celts. Yeah, we was Celts.
We were Celts.
So it's good that you still have these things. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
typically people should trust their instincts. I don't think most people's natural instincts will be to run away from their homeland and to where they belong. Um,
Well, some people do. I mean, Gerard Depardieu left France, didn't he?
I'm not familiar.
Oh, he's an actor, a very big name French actor. He left France when they introduced the new socialist taxes. He said, "I'm not putting up with it anymore," and he went to Moscow.
All right.
People do. I think there is a lot. There has been. If you look over the last 50 years, there is an increase in emigration out of European countries, and this is
Mm.
majority white people. It's not, the people who've come in there because they're cushy on welfare.
Yeah, exactly. Um,
And of course, there are a
yeah,
lot. I mean, I've heard of a lot of reactionaries who are in Asia, who are in Taiwan and these other places
yeah, yes.
to try
Especially
and get away.
Europeans who have left Europe to go and fuck Asian women.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, they're sort of searching for something that they can't get in the kind of sort of the life that they want, and they prioritize over maybe ideological concerns. Their happiness in this life, and they don't want to have what would pass as a typical Western girlfriend.
I would attribute that simply to inner chaos and a kind of promiscuous impatience.
Yeah, I think
And I think obviously globalism is a big part of it as well. People
that's easy.
don't feel as rooted as they otherwise would be to where they are, especially if you're living in a big city, a big anthill of a city.
But I do think, I mean, from what I have read quite a lot on the manosphere, and I do think there is a sense among a lot of men today that it's very hard to find a girl who isn't paused, who isn't, a total liberal on things. I don't even want, for myself, I don't even want a right wing Evalion or whatever girlfriend. I want a girlfriend who's completely apolitical, who doesn't have political opinions, because women shouldn't have political opinions.
Mm. Well, I think regarding that sort of thing, it's like women will typically fall to the mold of what a man expects. This was spoken about in the Fatherland podcast recently. I think is the third most recent one,
Oh, I
which
know
is
Nick Steves has been on there.
Yeah, Nick Steves was there in this particular one, and they were speaking about this topic regarding women and the like. And typically, these things sort themselves out. If you go searching, you're going to be disappointed. But anyway, those guys are all fathers. They've all been there. They're successful.
Mm.
Oh dear, Paul's comment there. Oh my God, what year is this? Oh, it's the current year, you dumb cunt. Do you know where you are? Sorry for my outburst there, but this guy's been commenting on other bits and pieces of mine, and anyway. But yeah, women will follow men typically if the man is good enough. And the thing is, I've written about this on my blog recently, perhaps too personally, but nevertheless, I wrote about it, and it's been on my mind regarding the male figure and the necessity for fathers and brothers, and I mean that in the archetypical sense, not so much in biological sense, but in the archetypical sense, in the sense of comrades and leaders, and how these things are very much lacking in the modern world in the proper sense. This mostly just comes from my conversation with James, who's very much on the same wavelength regarding this topic, and the necessity for the right sorts of comrades and leaders, especially within our sorts of spheres and communities.
Yeah. Well, the last fighting Tommy has said, honestly, the same with personal friends. I don't think people's opinions are very meaningful. That's probably true, but I know that all my friends, at least, are either red-pilled enough that I can tolerate it or are apolitical. I can't be friends with a liberal. I just end up resenting and hating them. And this is what happened in America. I befriended somebody over there who I was friends with for several months. And then it turned out that he was very ardently liberal. And I immediately I inherently disliked him because of what I believe about liberalism, what it represents when people are liberal. Yeah. I can't respect liberals. And I don't want friends that I can't respect.
Yeah, the same. But with people who are liberal, you can typically tell from their character what their opinions are. I mean, I'm personally very, 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 very choosy about who my friends are, and if I
become that way,
yeah, so you have to kind of you typically see it manifest in someone's character, how they speak, the things they say, the things they talk about, whether or not they're politically active or turned on, and because this is the thing. It's not two-dimensional, having a political belief. It's not the case of, I have this particular opinion about this particular piece of legislation. It's actually rather three-dimensional, because one's moral attitude speaks of deeper questions and deeper personality traits within the person. And the kind of political views are really just a mild accretion of those things. So you can typically get a good grasp of what someone's like politically simply by how they are as a person, and vice versa in many cases.
Have you heard a lot about the government sending voting papers to EU citizens for Brexit? Now, I'm unclear as to what the voting laws are on it. Who is allowed to vote in that referendum?
What do you mean in the EU referendum? I think citizens are allowed to vote.
Citizens, even if they're living abroad in Europe.
Oh, I don't know.
Because I think that's what they'll do. They'll mail out a load of ballots to.
Yeah, I suppose if they're doing that, then obviously you would assume so. But
Fucking hell, the whole thing's rigged. It's never gonna.
That's an interesting one. Yeah, I mean, saying it's rigged is, I don't think it's as rigged as some people think. But I genuinely believe pretty much everyone who isn't working class, and even then a good deal of the working class, will vote to remain because they're cowards. And that's the only reason people are really voting to stay, is because they're so scared of change and of any potential instability and of any uncertainty. That it just frightens them. And that's, look at what the Remain side are saying regarding what terrible, awful things are going to happen if we leave. Oh, there's going to be civil war and all this nonsense. Absolutely hysterical lunacy. But it just taps in to the kind of heart of the English kind of layman who is himself extraordinarily stubborn and arrogant and independent and won't listen to anyone else. And will fight to stay where the Englishman typically fights to keep his chains because it's kind of instability without them, and it's definitely manifest that archetype in this election, and it will be why we will stay, just because most people are just kind of wusses. And you see this in how when you ask people, ordinary people, about what they think. Why we should stay in the EU is, we don't know what we'll do if we leave. What will we do? It's just like, it's rubbish. It's pure nonsense. But that's how a lot of people think. And that's quite amazing, really. But that's ultimately what's going on there. So I don't think you would even need to rig it. The Austrian election was rigged, I will say. But with Brexit, I don't think it's totally. You wouldn't have to. Especially with the young. But yeah, the Austrian. Just to change the topic, the Austrian election. What do you think of that, Mark?
Well, can I just say my mic is now back working on the regular channel, so hopefully this sounds good. Does it?
Yeah, it sounds great.
Fuck it, I'm gonna lose it with this thing in a minute. Yeah, the Austrian election, I think, is a good lesson, because it's another thing that people got their hopes up really, really badly for. And it turns out, as predicted, that he never really had a chance. I honestly don't believe he had a chance, because they weren't going to let him win. Now, whether you think that was done by underhanded means of, fake ballots or whatever, or the other one I saw was Antifa did some ballots or something like that, fine. But the other method they do is they basically just get all the other parties to gang up on the only possible opposition party. True power is not transferred democratically. It never is. True power is transferred by extreme radical changes in the fundamental structure of government. Democracy has never really brought anyone to power who's actually changed things. Remember that, Adolf Hitler in the Third Reich, he didn't get his power through a vote. He got his power through strong-arming Hindenburg to give him full control over Germany. That was how he did it. It happened in an office. It didn't happen in a voting booth.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and I agree with you. I do think the right wing side of the Austrian election, they are currently in the process of going through all the ballots and recounting things, and submitting for fraud and things like that. They're in the process of doing that as we speak, which is good. Hopefully something will happen, but it speaks of deep political polarization, which is what's ultimately necessary for these changes, which are sorely needed to occur in Europe, to happen.
The thing is, you look into these underhanded practices and you can crow about them, but no good ever comes of it. One of the reasons I switched from being a conservative, and remember, I was in America during this time, so I was the type of conservative, in the vein of Mark Levin, and Americans will know who that is. This kind of constitutional, libertarian-esque conservatism, the Tea Party, things like that. I was very much into that.
And what turned me off of it and what finally made me sort of give up on it was in 2014, they had a Senate candidate for Mississippi called Chris McDaniel, who was challenging the incumbent who'd been there for ages, a Republican called Thad Cochran. And at first, they didn't take this guy seriously. This guy was much more conservative than Cochran was. Cochran was a very much sort of a squishy neocon Bush type. And basically what happened was, as the campaign got more desperate, McDaniel won the first round of voting, and then it went to a second election. What the Cochrane campaign did was they accused McDaniel of being racist. And they basically had a whole campaign out in black neighborhoods. Now, the blacks in Mississippi are a large amount of the population. They usually vote in the Democratic primary because they're not Republicans, obviously. What they did, what Thad Cochran's Republican team did, and this was a Republican establishment, this is the party apparatus, all the incumbent senators, they mobilized the black Democratic voters to come and interfere in their primary to stop McDaniel getting the election to the Senate. And at that point, I just said, this entire democracy thing is a fucking sham. It is what Russians say about it. It's democracy. It's the government buys shit. And it doesn't change through elections. I don't know who I'm quoting here, but there's that guy who says, "Oh, you want to keep us in a nice little playpen, keep us on the merry-go-round." It's like that. It really is. That's what it is. The whole democratic game, the illusion of conservatives and the illusion of the opposition. It's all just a rigged game. Everything is already decided. So why bother? Dissent from it. Leave the plane of it. It's not. You're not going to influence it in any way. So don't even try. Go outside the box. Look to cut out the sort of the pillars that are holding the entire thing up, rather than playing on the chessboard in which liberalism always wins, and it always has done.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, I've just blocked Paul Armstrong. Just the
ban the guns, ban the guns.
It's just an old boomer liberal, basically, spewing nonsense. I'm not having it here. I don't believe in free speech. So go away, basically.
AD said, "I really need to make my own videos. I may do at some point. I haven't got the time or energy to do it at the moment. I have enough trouble pumping out a weekly article."
Yeah. It'd be interesting if you did videos. The thing about it, though, the way I do it, some things are better to do videos about, and some things are better to do writing about.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's difficult to juggle them, but I also do have more spare time than you do because you're at uni.
Yeah. I wouldn't do anything like this. What I'd probably do is I'd like to do readings of things that maybe don't have recognition, things like the works of Ivan Ilyin, which are mostly in Russian on audio. I'd like to get those out, things like that. I think readings are good. I remember you used to do some readings off Social Matter? Or maybe that was Millennial Woes. Millennial Woes did a couple of readings from Social Matter, and they were really good.
I think Woes.
Yeah.
I've never read anything off Social Matter. Adam, do the Joe Owens. Hello! Saddies and daftles.
Do the Owen Jones. Hi, I'm Owen Jones.
No, I'm not doing the Owen Jones. It's Joe Owens, based Joey Owie.
Hello, want to keep us all on the little playpen, Adam wants to keep us all in the Evola playpen, the Evola merry-go-round.
Find me, and then it'll be like, I've been on YouTube.
I've been on YouTube, and I found this Adam Wallace character. He wants to keep us all in the Evolian playpen.
Reading countercurrents and Greg Johnson and all that old nonsense, generation identity, and
it's not real activism. I've seen
local politics for local people. Everyone, bread in the pocket and money on the table.
I kind of have a bit of respect for that, though. It's
well.
I mean, it's a respectable lowbrow.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, a lot of what he says is true regarding the kind of more hardline nationalism and how ineffective most of it is. It's a complete waste of time.
Yeah. I think he called out Six a goddess as well.
Yeah, he called out a lot of people. I think the only people he hasn't called out are Nigel Farage, Trump, and Le Pen.
Yeah.
He's called out countercurrents, red ice, London Forum, Angela John Gage, Renegade. I mean, some people who score are genuinely problems. Jack Sen, for example, Renegade, I don't trust either.
Civic nationalism.
Oh, Civic, that's another meme. But yeah, I'm worried that Joe's going to suddenly turn his gaze one day to millennial woes. And oh man,
Oh dear.
that'll be terrible.
Yeah, it will be. Maybe he'll expose Ivalion next. I don't know.
Oh, she's done. Mate, she's fucking gone.
Oh, she's gone.
Exactly like I called it.
Flash in the pan.
Yeah.
This is what they all are. I definitely think this is a completely common trend in these white nationalist women circles.
She was a meme. She wasn't anything serious. She was a meme. She was just regurgitating poll memes, mate. She wasn't anything serious. People took her seriously though, and a lot of people liked her because she's red pilling the normies, but she wasn't fucking red pilling anyone. No one's me convinced.
All the people who subscribed to her were already people who knew those memes. So
exactly. But yeah, she was just a meme, and it was inevitable that she would have she went down in a kind of blaze of controversy after.
Oh, what happened?
Oh, some big YouTuber, a couple of them actually.
Sargon of Akkad?
No. Not Sargon of Akkad. Onision and Leafy. They found her and
it's beyond me. Leafy.
Yeah, it's all nonsense.
People?
But they found her and had their way, and millions of views later,
wait. They found her and they had their way, and millions of views later. So she was raped and put in some kind of porn
no,
video.
Nothing like that.
This is insane. See, this is why I'm quite secretive, Adam, because this happens.
No. Nothing like that.
Okay.
A load of odd nonsense though. She's gone. I will be right back.
More pasta. More Ivalian pasta. Okay, guys, question time again. Anyone got any questions? I'm having a relaxed day today. Oh, and by the way, I'm hopefully going to take part in a Christian reactionary hangout with reactionary Ian later. I hope, if this mic is still working at that time. So stay tuned for that one. Damn, this mic's gone really quiet again. It's so shit. Hello. Okay, that should be working a little bit. Damn, this mic. Yeah, guys, I've got like Audacity running in the background here, so I'm tracking the audio levels, and it just drops down to very low levels. I mean, I've got myself pressed right up against the mic right now, and it's absolutely shit. And this is in stereo mode. I'm going to now switch to the regular podcasting mode and watch how the volume craps out. It's just crap. This mic is shit. Never buy Blue Yeti. Literally never buy it. Blue Yeti, not even once. Oh, good. I'm glad you can hear me. I'm going to send this back, and I'm going to hopefully get one that's a little bit better, because this is not worth the 70 quid that I paid for it.
Blue Spark is the superior mic, to be honest, fam. You think? I'll try and give it a look. Adam working for Joe Owens. I can actually believe that, yeah. Oh. 9:34 already. Where does the day go, right? What happened to Angelo John Gage? Adam's reporting me to the ADL. Okay, well, I don't care. What happened to Angelo John Gage? He was in with the whole Renegade crew, over at Renegade Tribune and things. And apparently there was something to do with a printer that he was given money by fans of Renegade to buy, and he didn't buy a printer with the money, and therefore he was obviously a shill for the IDF. I don't know. It was something like that. And also he vaccinated his kids, so was clearly also then again a member of the IDF. That's the story behind Angelo John Gage.
Yeah.
Favorite Powerpuff Girl? I don't know their names.
Oh.
The blue one. She's the most effeminate.
All right. Well, have a look here.
Nick Rolls.
Nick Rolls, eh?
Standing just to the left of Adam. I like that little touch. He's standing to the left. Nice. I think the blue one's called Bubbles, isn't she?
Yes, yeah.
Damn, this is degenerate. I can't believe I'm talking about this.
Let me have a look here. Comments. Crikey, I missed quite a few of them. I think we'll wrap things up in a minute or two.
Yeah, sure.
Is that right? Any thoughts on Plato? I'm a Platonian or Platonist. I'm not really an Aristotelian.
Meaning you believe in the existence of abstract objects?
Well, more or less.
I'm
more a mystic than an empiricist.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with the existence of abstract objects, but I think that I don't consider them to be independent of God. I think they're extensions of God.
Yeah,
I think you run into theological complications when you see them as apart from God, because then they escape his creation, and that's problematic.
Of course it is.
But saying they don't exist at all is, I don't know, that itself runs into problems.
Yeah.
When will you read Plotinus? Everyone keeps mentioning Plotinus to me. I really probably need to read some. Plotinus is the shit, apparently.
Plotinus was mentioned by Testus Gratus in an article I seem to remember, which is cool.
Do I believe in ghosts?
No.
You see, maybe I do.
Well, I think there are some things which science cannot totally explain. And there are some things which are extensions of the natural order, but we don't really perceive them as such. And there are mystical things which are just, most people don't think in that way, and they can't think within that sort of framework. So things are perceived in an incorrect fashion.
A lot of people say that belief in ghosts is not compatible with Christianity. I don't see that necessarily as being true. We occupy this space awaiting Judgment Day. It's not inconceivable that something could go wrong with that process, and you could end up sort of closer to reality than you otherwise might be, and maybe able to sort of press yourself against it. There certainly are some weird supernatural occurrences that can't be explained, and I don't think sort of are indicative of demonic activity. I mean, I believe in demons. That I've no doubt, but ghosts are a little harder to think about.
Absolutely.
But does it really matter? Does it really matter if ghosts exist or not? I don't.
No, it's one of those sorts of curiosity questions more than anything else. I think on that spooky note, we're a few months early for Halloween, but We'll have to do something for Halloween regarding this sort of thing.
Adam just wants to keep us on the Halloween ghost train, going round and round.
Skin spooky, you know.
I'm talking about paranormal nationalism.
Paranormal nationalism. It's interesting. That's gonna be a new ideology. That's gonna be the new cool hip ideology. Everyone's gonna
English graveyards for English ghosts. No Pakistani ghosts down here.
Yeah, like I said, on that spooky note, I think we're gonna wrap things up.
Yes. Well, it was good
yeah.
talking, and hope
Yes, mate,
obviously
thank you for
it'll be
joining
a while until the next time. But
yeah. Well, have a good summer.
I'll try my best. We'll still be writing, and I'll be following your podcasts and things.
Oh yeah, cheers.
So, and as I mentioned to other people, I will be on Reactionary Ian's Christian Hangout later today. If my mic works. So, if people want to hear more discussion of RX topics, they can tune in. Hopefully,
I would definitely recommend Reactionary Ian's.
He's a good guy. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, do you know? Last question. Do you know who? Do you have anyone on your Skype called Rubric?
Yeah, that's Duncan.
Oh, okay.
Old
just added me, and I was like, "Who is this?"
Yeah, it's Old Watts. It's Duncan. Just rename him as Duncan, and then you know.
Yeah. And also, I've got somebody called Isabel Christian. Do you know who that is?
No, Isabel Christian.
Isabel.
Isabel. No, I don't know.
I'm disconcerted when people add me on this Skype because I don't share it out or anything. So
yeah.
In future, just for anyone, if you want to add me on Skype, email me first. My email is on the bottom of my blog because otherwise, I'm just sort of like, who are you? You know?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thank you for joining me. And
well, thanks for the comments, guys, and thanks for the convo, Adam.
Yeah, no worries, mate. We'll see you when we see you.
When you see me.